Story 1. Any amount over $1,000 that is unexpected changes my life. More money, more changes. $1 to $10,000. Stress reduction, but probably no major life changes. $10,000 to $100,000. Pay off student loans and small credit card debt. Ability to enroll youngest in daycare, which should help my wife get back to the workplace a year earlier. $100,000 to $500,000. Above, plus buy a house. Various levels of change above that, maybe some new furniture, car, etc. But I think the next level that would really change would be like $2.5 million, where I'd be able to quit my job and maybe start a small business or something in the future. Story 2. Right now, I can turn my life around with $10,000, but I live in a third world country, so that is a lot. I would pay some debt and use the rest to invest in my business. Story 3. I would buy my parents a house that is not falling apart from underneath them. They cannot work anymore and have no savings left because their taxes have gone up so much. It is a dire situation that is something I did not think I would have to worry about when I got older. I will probably end up moving them in with me. I consider myself to be right on the edge of middle class. I am hanging on by a thread. It is not a lack of work ethic. I have a good job that pays well. It is just too expensive to try and get ahead of the game, especially when worrying about family. Story 4. No money will cure what ails me, but my mom is sick. Her house is falling apart, and she has custody of my nephews. She's 66, turning 67, obese, on blood thinners, a 3-time cancer survivor, has venous insufficiency, and a host of other ailments. She has insurance but no savings, no job, and the bare minimum to scrape by. I would love to have just enough to pay off my house, car, and student loan, $120,000 left on all three, and then buy my mom and nephews a place of their own. I can contribute all I can already, but she deserves more. Story 5. Enough to break the paycheck-to-paycheck cycle. I would fix up my car and move out of my parents' basement. I didn't plan on staying more than a year, yet here we are, almost 2 years later. Story 6. $60,000 pays off my loans. $12,000 pays off my old Kia that keeps getting broken into. $5,000 pays off all my other debts in the world. That would be awesome. Obviously, another $30,000 or $40,000 for a new SUV would be nice for the kids. Story 7. I'm on target to comfortably retire in 5 years at the ripe old age of 45. It's required a lot of frugality and a decent income. We are debt-free and honestly haven't spent my paycheck since 2019. We live off my wife's salary and invest mine. So, smaller amounts definitely wouldn't change my life, but about $700,000 would put me past the goalpost and into retirement today. Story 8. $3,000 extra a month. I would be able to afford to actually drive to work in a Tesla and put money away for the future. Actually, maybe even $2,000 extra a month. Wait, who am I kidding? $1,000 extra a month. Story 9. Around £15,000 it would make me debt-free and not have to work 60 to 70 hours a week at 3 jobs. Then I'd be able to spend more time with my kids and not be constantly tired and drained. Story 10. £300. I had a week off work due to the flu, and that would cover the cost of the lost wages. So I'm not living on noodles for half the month in the freezing cold because I can't afford to put the heating on. Story 11. Currently, I live in the basement of my soon-to-be ex-wife's house. I would think $4,000 would get me a place to live and furnish it since I'm simplistic. It would pay for the deposit and the first month's rent. I could take it from there. Story 12. $30,000. That amount is what I need to round off my down payment and fees to buy a modest-sized house. Fingers crossed it all happens in 2026. Story 13. $1 trillion. Would lobby to change the governments. Hire people and create loyalty to execute all other billionaires. Then spread my wealth among the people. Story 14. I'm an upcoming witch. I need 2,000 to ship paraphernalia from Haiti to continue with my endeavors. So far, I've caught 12 thieves with my services. I think I'm doing well. Story 15. What is 30,000? It would be good, but I could use 1,000 or anything I can get so I could buy some clothes and a phone. Just basic necessities would be good. Being homeless is way more difficult than it seems. Story 16. $20,000 would cover my debt, and I know I would be able to support my family for years afterwards once I get my commercial driver's license and a job. The past 2 weeks have been very difficult. Story 17. I could easily use between 10,000 US dollars and 500,000 US dollars right now. I just spent most of my money helping friends and family over the last 5 to 10 years for a bunch of stressful things, even if virtuous. So I'm rebuilding life both financially and generally speaking. Anywhere in that range would go towards housing. If I magically had more than that, I would allocate up to a few million to rebuild my retirement completely. I was retired 10 years ago, laughing out loud. If I magically had more than that, I would consult with professional legal and investment firms on how to invest it in order to create regular wealth that I can donate to charities or use to fund my own charities while still growing the principal investment. So enough to grow it and regularly give away some, in other words. Story 18. $500,000 would be felt and put to great use to stabilize our living and housing costs and give us a big space of breathing room. I would still be working for property taxes and ongoing living costs. Story 19. I need $30,000 to be more comfortable, pay off all debt, and have fewer monthly payments. $200,000 would probably change my life, own my house, and $1 million would probably keep me happy and stress-free for the remainder of my life. Story 20. $30,000. I can pay off my debts and take custody of my sister's children. Right now, I'm just too strapped and worried that if I take custody, I might not make ends meet. If I could pay down my credit card balances and car, that frees up a lot more monthly income. I just bought a house, which was step one in the process of getting the kids. Story 21. $300,000 to pay off student loans and credit card debt incurred during COVID, pay off the mortgage on my house, and after that my father, my husband, and I will be assured we will not end up homeless. Story 22. £30,000 would allow us to do some work on the house and make our life a little less stressful, as we have stuff everywhere at the moment, so home no longer feels like a safe space. £250,000 would pay off the mortgage and maybe mean I could take a slightly less stressful job, which would benefit all of us, as I am not really happy at the moment. £3 million would mean we could both give up work, so that would be properly life-changing. Story 23. $50,000 would be life-changing for me right now. I would pay off my debts and invest the remainder. I'll be able to live off my paychecks, but I currently don't make enough to make the kind of progress I'd like. It will take years for me to catch up. Story 24. I just received money from an inheritance. I want to buy a house but also want to wait until my divorce is finalized. So my soon-to-be ex cannot claim half of my house. Europe, not in the United States of America. Story 25. On paper, $100,000 to pay off my student loans. A bigger issue right now is the income to sponsor my husband's visa. We both work overseas, so I can't prove my income to sponsor. Story 26. £500,000. I would buy a house. A new car that would be a better fit for my daughter's pram and bags when we go away, and set aside a little money to invest and put into savings for a rainy day or safety net fund. Story 27. Approximately $350,000 would change my life quite a bit. I would pay off my mortgage and get that expensive monkey off my back. And yes, I know it makes more sense financially to invest it. I would still opt for the instant gratification of no mortgage. Story 28. I take $5 million. I would invest $3 million and live off the dividends. With the other $2 million, I would buy an oceanfront home, a car, and anything else I've been needing for a while. I would also buy my mom and aunt houses and take care of their expenses from now on. Story 29. Honestly, probably around $20,000. I'd pay off my debts, build a small emergency fund, and finally take that trip I've been dreaming of for years. It's crazy how a relatively small amount can completely change your perspective and ease the mental load. Story 30. Depends on what change in life we're talking about. $5,000 would make this tax season less concerning. $15,000 would cover the medical stuff my family needs. $300,000 would pay off my house and set me on a pretty radical path of financial freedom. Anything more is just gratuitous. Story 31. Wow, what a question. 16,000 Rand or $900 to pay my student debts and finish my degree. The number of students who don't get support from institutions is shocking. And yes, I am working, but it's genuinely not enough. It makes one wonder about a lot, actually, which is sad. Story 32. I would invest it all and forget it existed. Wait a few years until it snowballs more and think about cutting back on work hours or quitting my job. Story 33. $250,000 would do it. Pay off my house and car with enough left over to live on for the next year while I knock out my master's degree in sustainability. Later, I will probably sell everything, bank it in a high-interest account, and live out my more senior years somewhere that has free healthcare and affordable home prices. Amazing how a little boost like $250,000 can change the future. Story 34. $25,000. That would pay off my vehicle and get me back to the amount of savings I had before an emergency room visit and buying the vehicle. I felt financially stable then and was able to consistently save more. Just getting back to that baseline would be awesome. Story 35. Pay $250,000 to pay off my house. My ex-wife is trying to take it from my son and me. Put away $20,000 for a trust fund for my toddler. Pay off the detached shed. Get maintenance for my 11-year-old truck. Buy clothes that aren't 6 years old. Story 36. The money I need to feel comfortable is different from what I would say is needed to change my life. Comfortable would be like $100,000 to pay off my debts and have a bit left over for savings. Changing my life means something big to me, so that would be on the order of $200,000 or more. An amount that would let me give significant money to my friends and family and make improvements to their lives. Story 37. I think maybe $300,000, then I could pay off my small debt, $12,000, and buy a house. I like my job, so I don't mind continuing to work as long as I have no money worries. I think that would do it. Story 38. $1,000. I can afford a new CPAP machine I need. $2,000. I can afford my next semester of school. $6,000, I can also clear my credit cards. $12,000, I can also get new gutters. $90,000, clear the previous issues and the home equity line of credit I should have never taken out. Each level would remove massive amounts of stress. I've been selling off all my stuff but still not making a dent in my issues. Failed investments and having kids made things rough even with a good career. Story 39. 1 million English pounds would pay off the mortgage, help family out, and invest the rest. I would still work, but not as hard. That would set us up well, I think. Nothing really lavish, just a comfortable life with a lot less worry. Story 40. Change my life in what kind of way? Having enough to pay off my debts, around $70,000, would allow me to change how I spend and save, and it would relieve a lot of stress for me. So that would change my life. But if we're talking about a massive change in my lifestyle, like moving up to the next wealth bracket, being able to afford very high-end cars, it would probably be a few $100,000. Story 41. The lowest amount that would be enough would be about 55,000 United States dollars. It would be enough to allow me to put a down payment on my own apartment as well as pay off my car so that I could more easily afford the mortgage payments. Story 42. $100,000. It would completely pay off my student loans and be added to our savings for our kids. Or the extra could be used to get a bigger car, which I desperately need. $500,000 would be enough to set money aside for my son with autism to help with any care he may need in the future, and to also help us move into a bigger home. Story 43. About $50,000 to pay back the loans for my flat and finance my studies to become a licensed social worker. With anything more than that, I would replace my broken dishwasher and invest in myself to get a gym membership. That would get me back on my feet and improve my life immensely. Story 44. $2,400. That's the sum total of debt I have. Eliminating it would give me so much peace of mind. I'm about to quit smoking after an unbelievable span of my life, and getting rid of all possible stress would give me the best outcome. Story 45. Oh, what I could do with 40,000 and the freedom to use it. Buy land, build a homestead, fix a car, all of these things. It's not the entrance fee, it's not even the bills, it's having to consider that someone with a degree in finance or engineering can walk in, tell me no, and if I say no, call someone with 100 people who have high school diplomas to take an hour out of their day to destroy 20 years of mine. Story 46. would get rid of most of my debt and allow me to get a dental procedure done. From there, I could finish paying off the rest of my debt and then quit my third job and reduce my second job to part-time. Story 47. $10,000 would absolutely change my life. I work 3 jobs: a drug and alcohol treatment center for no pay at night, where they cover my rent as a write-off, a project manager position at an exterior construction company, and with DoorDash. The construction job is my second year there, and you can easily make 6 figures if you devote your time to it. The problem I have is being so far behind on bills because I've been spiritually doing the right thing after many years of alcoholism and working for treatment centers for pennies on the dollar. I set myself up here to have this job in construction while also meeting my spiritual needs by helping others. I need more time to devote to the actual job, and $10,000 would set me up and pay my bills. Currently, only DoorDash is putting money in my pocket, and it's hardly doing anything. Story 48. I'd say at least 1 million. I'd use that money to buy a car, move to a different area, and make some investments while I look for a job. Also, I'd save at least half of that sum,